Hi everybody. It's been a very long time, and I apologize for that. So where have I been? So too long didn't read. Gil died in Eternal Palace. We were 6 of 9, I believe, and I went emo because it was a very stressful time, and I took a break until the end of Eternal Palace. I joined a new guild for Nyalotha. We just killed Mythic and Zoth last week, and I wanted to take this time to recharge and get ready for Shadowlands. So Shadowlands is here. Well, the alpha is here. So I'm going to do a hopefully short first-hand impression of the state of Alpha Vengeance Demon Hunter. So off the bat, the Great Unpruning, we got one ability. So baseline, we were able to pick up Fell Devastation. Now this is awesome. This is actually a good thing. This was the coolest looking ability that we never used. So we bring one of these ads over. So it costs 50 Fury. We no longer have Pain, but Fury. And here we go. So it's a Kono AoE that heals, heals me. So by default, I'm level 57 with 31,000 HP. Yeah, 31,000. So basically, it does 1,500 fire damage, and it heals me for up to 4,000 health. So it's not terrible. It'd be good on pulls, jump in, pull a whole bunch of crap, and then fell dev. So this is a good change. I'm very happy with this. So this is good. Outside of that, all the changes happened in our talents for the most part. So we're going to walk through them, we're going to talk about them, let you know how I feel about the changes so far. Let's go and start with this row 15. Right now, Abyssal Strike was changed. It no longer gives you the 10-yard, extra 10 yards, which sucks. I don't know why they did that. Maybe we're too mobile, I don't know. But we probably won't notice it by the first week. Like, it's just, it is what it is. But it also puts Sigil of Flame when we land. So Flame Crash is now in one talent. So that's nice. And it also lowers the cooldown by 8 seconds of the Infernal Strike. So this is probably going to be the go-to for everything. With that being said, though, they did just change Agonizing Flames this week. So let me just pull this over. So right now, Agonizing Flames, it used to give us damage. And instead of damage, it now gives us increased duration of Immolation Aura by 50%. So by default, Immolation Aura is 6 seconds. With this talent, it increases it to 9 seconds. In and of itself, this is still a trash talent. But what they did was they updated Charred Flesh. So Charred Flesh will increase the duration of your Fiery Brand by 0.5 seconds for every time your Immolation Aura ticks. So if you have mobile mobs on you, it only goes up by 0.5 seconds regardless of how many creatures you hit. It doesn't matter. So with just Charred Flesh, your Fire Brand will last, so it's 8 seconds by default, so it will be 11 seconds. If you take Agonizing Flames and Charred Flesh, you increase the duration of Fiery Brand by an additional 4.5 seconds instead of 3. So your max duration of Fiery Brand will be 12.5 seconds. This is a nice change. This isn't bad. The only issue is Charred Flesh shares the same tier as Spirit Bomb. And Spirit Bomb still does way more damage than Soul Cleave. So Spirit Bomb does 204 damage per soul at my current level, so up to 1,000 damage, fire damage, and Soul Cleave, which was just buffed by 20%. So this is after the buff. Soul Cleave hits for 648 physical damage. So physical damage is mitigated by armor as well. So the tooltip's at 648, and then it gets mitigated by the armor of the enemy you're hitting. And it only has 5 targets, and is all like in front of you, whereas Spirit Bomb is an AoE around you. So Spirit Bomb is still way more damage than Soul Cleave's going to be. So if you take Charred Flesh, you're losing a lot of damage. Now, I can see some niche situations where you would want to take Charred Flesh and Agonizing Flames, I guess. Like maybe on some raid encounter that you need the extra uptime of Fiery Brand. I could see that. But overall, that's going to be like a niche situation. And Charred Flesh doesn't really help you Mythic Plus, because you need the AoE mitigation, not the single target mitigation. Good change, just not done right, I guess you would say. And then Fellblade is here. It does fire damage and gives you 40 Fury, and Sheer can reset it. I like this talent a lot. Problem is the Fury is wasted because it will give you more Soul Cleave. It won't give you more Spirit Bomb. Because Spirit Bomb limiting resources souls, not Fury. So it doesn't help you Spirit Bomb, and Soul Cleave damage is still crap, even after the buff. Just an all-round, yeah, it just shouldn't be there. If this was baseline, you could have a lot of fun with it. But since it's not baseline, it's not worth the talent, not over Abyssal Strike. So 25, Feast of Souls is still trash. It was just buffed by 25%. The developer said they really like this talent. They think it's a good talent. It might need to be buffed more. I don't think they play this game. Or Vengeance. I don't think Blizzard plays Vengeance. It's a terrible talent. So 800 damage, 832 healing over 6 seconds. I have 31,000 HP. That's just over 2% of my total health. Now, if I spam Soul Cleave twice, it doesn't stack. It just refreshes the duration. So it's just not a good talent. Burning Lives the same. It's the same thing. It spreads too slow. Every 2 seconds it jumps. Problem with that is simply the delay. Like by the time it jumps enough, either the trash, like the Mythic Plus trash pull is done, or you're dead. It doesn't matter. It's just not worth it. And then Fallout is still going to be the go-to with the souls. That doesn't change. So we talked about these two talents. Infernal Armor is new. Basically, Immolation Aura will increase your armor by 20% and then cause attackers to take fire damage. Now, if this was maybe on a different row, I could see maybe like a conversation about Agonizing Flames, Charred Flesh, and Infernal Armor for like a super tanky build. But as is, there might be a niche situation for it. But again, you're losing damage. A lot of damage. 35, so everything here is the same. Fracture is still probably going to be my go-to simply because spamming Shear is the worst gameplay, especially when you're using Spirit Bomb. It's not fun. Feed the Demon, why is this not baseline? I don't get it. Our weakness as a Vengeance Demon Hunter is still the same. It has not changed. They have not fixed it. Our weakness is the uptime of Demon Spikes. By default, the cooldown is 20 seconds. It scales with haste. Why? If you look at all the other tanks, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't done a lot of research, but I've seen some. All other tanks have much higher uptime of their mitigation than we do. So why would you pick a Vengeance Demon Hunter over a Monk or a Warrior when their HP is gonna be more consistent and easier to heal? Why is this not baseline? I don't understand. Or why don't you just lower the cooldown of Demon Spikes back to 16 seconds like it was in Legion? This is bad. And then Soul Renion's terrible. You don't need the additional leech when you're in meta. You're in meta. You're already tanky as hell. Why do you need the additional leech? 40 doesn't change. Sigil Chains should also be a baseline. I've said that like 3 times. Our kit is very small, so it's okay if we get more abilities. Sigil Chains should be baseline, and then Cycle Binding should be here, the Azerite trait. Because that would be the guaranteed pick for Mythic Plus, but you probably wouldn't pick it for Raiden. So that would be good. The biggest change outside of Feldev baseline is this, Demonic. So Gluttony is gone. It was replaced with Demonic. So after you cast Feldev, you go into meta for 8 seconds. This is amazing. This is like a Demonic for Havoc, actually, and I'm sure people are familiar with that. So Feldev is a 45-second CD. So every 45 seconds, you get free uptime of meta for 8 seconds. And that you can use that 8 seconds to get your Demon Spikes back off cooldown. So use that 9 seconds to 8 seconds to recharge Demon Spikes. Soul Barrier is here, and so is Void Reaver. Those two have not changed. They were just moved. I've tried really hard trying to come up with some situation where you would take Soul Barrier over Demonic or Void Reaver, and I cannot come up with a single situation where you would do that. Soul Barrier is a 30-second CD, which is better than Demonic, but once the Soul Barrier is gone, it's gone. So if you pop Soul Barrier and then instantly get smacked before you could feed it, that's your cooldown. You don't get Soul Barrier back. You don't have the minimum barrier like you did in Legion. That went away, which was a terrible choice. So what's even better is every 45 seconds, you're a giant demon who spawns a lot more souls. You heal yourself a lot more. You have a crazy amount of armor. It's just a crazy amount of HP. It's amazing. So Demonic is going to be like a must pick for everything. And then lastly, we have 2 new talents here. We have Bulk Extraction. So it's a 1.5 minute cooldown. You do an AoE up to 5 targets. You do 277 fire damage, which is whatever, it's not a big deal. And then you can spawn up to 5 lesser soul fragments. So let's talk about this. The cooldown of 1.5 minutes is terrible. This needs to be about 45 seconds. And the up to 5 soul fragments needs to change to just straight flat 5 souls. So say I pull one mob or I'm fighting a boss, I pop bulk extraction, I'm only extracting 1 soul. So this is basically worthless for single target. So if it was always 5 souls and it was on like a 45-second cooldown, then this would be awesome because this is like a emergency heal that you have on a 45-second cooldown. That would be fun. That would be good. Current iteration, it's trash. And then we have the Ruinous Bulwark. So Feldev will heal for an additional 15%, which is nice. And then 50% of his overhealing is converted into an absorb shield for 10. So this is bad. Because, let's think about it. So, it has to be overhealing to give you a shield. What progression content are you going to pull a lot of mobs, pop Feldev, and do overhealing? Probably none. Like, if you're doing easy content, then the overhealing will be much higher, then you'll have a shield. But no, let's assume, taking the perfect situation that you're doing progression content, you pull a whole bunch of mobs, you pop Feldev, and you actually get a giant shield. So say that happened. You're already in meta. You're already tanky as hell. You don't really need a shield when you're already in meta. So it's like overkill. And you're always going to be taking demonic as current iteration. You're always going to be taking it. So you're always going to be in meta. This is just not worth it. So you have to hope you can overheal, but you're already in meta, so who cares? It's crazy. So right now, Last Resort will probably be the go-to, like it has been for a long time. And the only other change I'll mention is they're trying to increase the healing of Soul Cleave. So, where's it at here? So for each soul consumed by Soul Cleave, you increase the healing from that soul. So if you consume that soul any other way, Spirit Bomb, walking over them, etc., it's going to do less healing than if you do it with Soul Cleave. I like the idea. Problem is, Soul Cleave consumes only 2 souls. So you can either do a 5-point Spirit Bomb. Those souls will heal for less per soul, but you're eating 5 of them. And it's going to be a much bigger heal than if you just Soul Cleave. So the only situation where this might be better is if you have 60 Fury saved up and you get Soul Cleave with 4 souls. Then maybe the healing would be better. But that's like a niche situation that you don't really plan for. You just have to have that. I like the idea. But until Spirit Bomb's damage is nerfed to the ground, your Soul Cleave is going to be a passive filler. Like, you're going to Spirit Bomb, then Soul Cleave, like you do now in BFA. That's not going to change. What they should do is they need to buff the hell out of Soul Cleave so this damage equals what Spirit Bomb does, and they completely nerf Spirit Bomb damage and make Spirit Bomb completely utility. If they did that, I would be happy, because then I could maybe want to pick Charred Flesh, because now this is just a utility for the Leech. But we'll see what they do. They did say, there was a post, I think it was in the same MMO champion post, that they're actually happy with the current state of Demon Hunters. I don't know if anybody at Blizzard on the dev team mains Vengeance. We have the same weakness. We're not going to be a good tank at the start of the X-Pack. Our uptime on Demon Spikes is just way too low. Way too low. Even if you take Feed the Demon, it's still going to be way lower than every other tank. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, it's just going to be way lower. I don't understand why they don't understand this. This is a simple concept. We need a way to get Demon Spikes up a lot more. That way we have our mitigation up more. Nobody wants an inconsistent tank with HP that's rubber banding, then magically not rubber banding, and then rubber banding again. Nobody wants to heal that. It's bad. Which is what we saw in every X-Pack. With that being said, silver lining. The start of Shadowlands, we will be in a better position at the start of Shadowlands, based on tuning, than we have been in previous X-Packs. So we might be the least picked tank again, if nothing changes. But we should be in a better spot. We're still viable. We can still do all the content I always have. So that's where we are. If you have any questions or comments, just please leave them below and I'll respond. So thank you for watching and take care.